Welcome to the Neighborhood Church Revive podcast. We are so glad that you're joining us today as we unpack big ideas about God's Word together. My name is Sean Thomas. I'm the worship pastor here at Neighborhood Church, and we believe that God's Word is relevant and helpful even for today, which is why we take the time to unpack what it says, talk about what we talked about Sundays or our sermon series, and today in particular is fun because we are coming off of the week of Bible Day Camp.
Yay!
I am joined here by our children's pastor, Lorena Saucedo.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, Lorena. Good to see you awake and alive after this week.
Amen.
Yes, yeah. Also, we have our the production manager, well, our usual production manager, but also for Bible Day Camp, Haylie Barkley.
Hello, hello.
And then we have Bob. I was thinking, like, creative director, tech guru. What is your role for?
I am Bob.
Bob is, as I like to fondly refer to him as, the phantom of the church.
Ooh.
He exists in the walls. He does everything.
He does everything. That was exactly what I was
yes, and he knows everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He
not
knows
good.
how everything works. He knows all the buttons that need to be turned off and on and everything.
Bob,
there
why
is an
does God
issue,
make
he
bad
solves
things happen? No.
So that I can fix it.
Ah, there it is.
That's pretty clever.
The phantom has spoken.
Actually, Bob was literally in the walls last week. I was up here and like we have a little crawl space for all the wiring and everything. And I was like, why is everybody gathered around the wall in that little space? And then Bob is in there.
Hole.
Yeah, like fixing things. So Bob Wilson is here.
Bob Wilson!
Yeah, I honestly, to be fair, I've forgotten what my title is. I just know that it's got creative and environment and technology in it.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I don't remember how they fit together in a sentence or even
Doesn't matter.
That sounds phenomenal,
but
though.
all three of those are in my job.
Creative
And then I also am the building superintendent.
Director.
yeah. On top of that, your other full-time job.
Technology director.
Right.
I am
yeah.
not, I mean, no one has proven to me otherwise that he doesn't live underneath the building on
With
a
a
lake.
giant organ.
Yeah, with
Like,
a giant organ.
lake,
So,
although there are a lot of guitars and instruments around here that I discover when I'm walking through, like especially late at night. I'm like, why is there this guitar pedal here? But well, for those of you guys listening, we're having fun. We're rapping, and we know that a lot of you folks listening to the podcast actually volunteered. We had almost 100 volunteers. Is that right, Lorena?
Yes, we did. And thank you. You are awesome. Out of those, almost 150 of those, 50-ish were our teens, which I love. They're just awesome, learning the ropes of serving and loving it. And then our awesome grown-ups, too. 40-something of you guys. You guys are great.
And they're who made it our jobs easier.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of the role that people play, because we were talking about it today. We'll do a whole staff kind of recaps at the beginning of the week on just everything. So obviously Bible Day Camp, we really went over that. And we were talking about this is a months-long process to create, well, to execute, but a year. I get the feeling it's like a year-long process for ideation, for talking about themes, the skit. I would love to hear, Lorena, what your process is when planning for Bible Day Camp, because, like I said, a lot of our volunteers, you guys are listening right now, and I'm sure you guys had great conversations. But it's like, man, it's literally the Monday after Bible Day Camp ended. And are we looking at 2024? Is it kind of like out with the old, in with the new? Like,
Kind of yes and kind of no. Just percolating thoughts and just listening to people are inspired, which I love about our church. So they're sharing ideas, and that's always fun. But I really don't start to think about it until like September, October is when I start to pray about it.
Yeah.
And asking God what he would want to do. But then things really do get rolling around, I would say, February. When I focus on, okay, what is it? What does God want to teach the kids, the people who will be there? And then I share that with Bob, who's here, and he comes up with he just takes it to the next level, which is great.
Yeah.
So like this year's theme was build, and I just thought like Minecraft was the word I threw out. It was like, well, let's make it a virtual reality thing and an experience. And the kids just loved it. So yeah, I think I start thinking and praying about it in October, but things don't really get rolling till like February. And it just ramps up by the time we hit June.
Does one year inform the other at all in terms of, I mean, it seems like we're at the basics a lot, at least, because we do get a lot of kids who either are part of our church or not part of our church, but we get a lot of return kids year to year that have, experienced past Bible day camps. But it seems like the theme is always we want to be pretty foundational in terms of like, God loves you, God made you, now follow him. But does one year kind of build upon the other at all in any sense?
I would say no, not really.
Yeah.
It just depends more on what I see like during the school year when I am interacting with kids on a Wednesday night or Sunday morning, what I hear them bringing up, what they're sharing, what I sense they need to know. And I think right now, the biggest thing children need to know is that they matter to God. And that can be built into so many themes. And so part of it is like, what are they into right now? Do I feel like, and I listen to our teen volunteers a lot too, because they're thinking about Bible day camp.
They want to
the whole year and they want to serve, and they're like, oh, what about this? And so I feel like if a 7th or 8th grader is excited about something, the younger kids
kind of trickles down to them.
It trickles to them. So
it's funny. So you mentioned Minecraft, which has been huge. I mean, for a long time, but still is just very popular video games. Obviously,
it's now a mainstay.
Yes, it's a staple.
Mario is a mainstay.
And I was just going to say how fortuitous that just a couple months ago the Mario Brothers movie came out, and like it's kind of this resurgence. Video games, classic kind of video games.
I've kind of thought I think I want to buy the classic game.
I
think I want to play it. I want to do that for fun.
Dude, and it was so cool. So Bob, Lorena, you said you and Bob connect, kind of with taking it to the next level. What is it like for you, Bob? Like, is it a year-long process for you of like, I mean, obviously you don't necessarily know the theme, but like staging what our occupancy is, for just like what's the scope of what we're going to produce?
Yeah, I mean, Lorena sort of alluded to it. Like each year is its own beast, I guess. Not beast, that's the wrong way to think of it. But just its own, what do we want to do? And I usually just come at it from like, how do I inspire kids to either, well, number one, pay attention. Because I mean,
that's the trick.
I mean, it's to me, it's negligence to just assume that a kid has to listen. Like, it's like, fine, great, but that doesn't mean they're going to. So like Lorena say, like, we pick something that they're familiar with, not to get them interested, but just to find a way into their mind.
Right.
Yeah.
You're being wise in how you're choosing to communicate.
Exactly. Right. So when she chooses Minecraft, it's not just an arbitrary thing because it's the new popular thing.
Yeah.
But it's like she has nieces and she's, like they talk about Minecraft because everybody's playing Minecraft. She hears it all the time with all the students. Like, is that something we can use?
Yeah.
So just sticking with this year, when she first brought that, well, to be fair, like let's go back to maybe October-ish. So she comes to me and she's like, I'm thinking Nehemiah.
Story of Nehemiah.
And Old Testament stuff. And I'm kind of an Old Testament, like, I don't know, whatever. I'm into the Old Testament.
Yeah, the history, the
The
archaeology,
beginnings of the old stories and all that. So when she first came with that, I'm like, let's do that, whatever it is, let's just do it. Yeah. And then that morphed into Minecraft, into knowing God, loving God, and all that, instead of it just being retelling the Nehemiah story kind of thing, but in a different vein.
That's really cool. Nehemiah, like I'm thinking, building. You got to rebuild the city.
Yeah, he built the walls. Right, exactly.
Kind of like where it started.
With the whole build concept.
Yeah,
and then
brilliant.
And then and then it went into Minecraft, and I was, I think, I also So Lorena may not have anything that informs the next year, but I seem to. And it's more of just what I want to do as a storyteller, not so much what I want to do for these kids.
Yeah.
So it's like a personal goal for me when she's like comes to it, and it's like, can we fit Willy Wonka in there somewhere? You know what I mean? Because for some reason I was
desire.
just like, I got a bug or a bee in my bonnet about doing some sort of like, inventor type story.
Yeah.
Crazy inventor, silly inventor, because I was just thinking, that was an inspiring thought for me. Some guy who's just like, do the impossible.
Yeah.
I remember you throwing that out there.
Yeah, and she was just like, well, how do we make Willy Wonka fit with Nehemiah, or even Minecraft? And I was like, just give me about a weekend, all right? I'll come back with something. I promise.
It's great hallway. It's like hallway meetings. That's how it happens. Like, you come up and say, I have this idea, and I was like, oh, like I remember you saying, it's probably true, and you're not thinking about it. And I was like, no, I am thinking about it. And you threw out like Willy Wonka, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know, because I'm thinking about this. And then it's just, okay, we'll talk about it later. Next hallway.
Next time I pass you on the way to the restroom, I will bring it up again.
Yes.
Aren't those where the best ideas come from anyway?
Yeah.
We're like, I really got to do this, but... No, and I feel like Ready Player One was something I really saw too, which crosses over with.
Well, that was literally. So I wanted to do something with Willy Wonka, and then she comes in with this Minecraft thing, and I'm like, okay, Ready Player One exists, so I've already got a connective tissue that I can now jump off of.
Yeah.
So
which is perfect.
Which is cool about writing your own curriculum or program or whatever you want to call it, is that we can kind of put all of our ideas together and make it our own thing.
Yeah.
Seriously. I'm just so excited, and that's what in our staff meeting, Pastor Mike McKay was talking about. A lot of times, folks or families or people who aren't regulars to neighborhood church, but they're just going to our Bible day camp because there's a lot of churches in the area that are like VBS, blah, as they're going to all the different ones. And so apparently people ask like, who do you hire to do this material? Like,
people, they thought we hired actors.
Yeah. Like what acting troupe do you get? What writing team from Hollywood do you bring in?
It's just Bob Wilson.
It's me. Yeah. It's me and Anthony building the sets and Anthony, we can
Kristen.
get to show up, and I swear it's God that helps more than
yes.
That's
and
a
willing
good call.
people who are wanting to try it out, like our Evie character. She hasn't been on stage, at least not for us at Bible Day Camp. This was her first time acting. I know she had like an acting class before, but I didn't even ask her that. She was just like, I want to be in a skit, and we said okay. She did great.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, we almost never say no to anybody.
Yeah,
I don't think we have, unless it was already filled, and it's like there's just no more room.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of personnel and things like that, Haylie, I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts on the week, because it typically Sunday to Sunday you're in charge of a lot of the production end of it. So what we see online, what we hear in the sanctuary, like audio visual. And so you were manning the audio visual. And so like Bob and Lorena are talking about, there's a lot of people that volunteer that create these things that then we put out here, but now we got to see it. Now we got to hear it. Now we got to have a schedule. Like, what was that like for you, coordinating all that?
In a way, it's similar to what happens on Sundays to some extent. But yeah, it is its own beast, if you will. Bob is amazing in that the stuff that he prepares, he has such a vision for how he sees it on the stage and in his head, that he knows what the goal is. And then my job is to take that and try to make sure it happens as such from the sound booth. So yeah, it's a lot of organizing. It's a lot of, because we have so many volunteers, which is such a blessing, could not happen without them. But we do not expect our volunteers to be experts and at what we're asking them to do in the sound booth. So yes, it's a lot of prep so that when our volunteers show up each morning, they can just kind of step into their role and start running with it. That we have taken care of making sure that everything is organized, that it's been tested, that we know that things are going to come together in regards to lighting cues and sound, what mics are being used, what playlists are being used, what sound cues are being used, what's going to be up on the projector at any given moment. Is it an image? Is it a video that then is tied to audio? All those things, we organize it ahead of time, and then try to set it up in a system that then our volunteers can basically start at point A and go all the way through Z of our organized system, and with confidence that what they're doing is going to work, is going to bring together the larger vision. But so much. Our volunteers in the sound booth, there is so much intuition that they have to kind of rely on, and I'm so grateful for that, that they are willing to really pay attention and listen to that, because no matter how well you plan, as we all know about everything in life, everything does not go according to that plan.
So batteries die, frequencies get crossed with microphones, and
it's a next level of stress when that happens, when what you're doing is being viewed by people, that it's not just happening, maybe in the presence of others, but this is quite literally where everyone's attention is focused.
If something goes wrong, then
yes, it feels 10 times bigger than it actually is.
Right.
And our volunteers did such an incredible job at really paying attention, being kind of in the zone, and trying to see any issues that might come up as they were coming their way, so we could try to problem solve them on the fly, but before they actually
even ahead of time
happened. Yes, just incredibly grateful for the amount of focus. It's a big focus job in the sound booth.
Well, and speaking of like choices, that you make, and kind of like cues and lighting and tech, even like the kind of how the rhythm of the day is that the kids, we'd have an opening session, then the kids would go to like the rotations for class or rec or craft or snack, but then they would come back in, and I almost sense like in years past, and I've even seen this at I pretty much grown up in the church and have gone to Vacation Bible School forever, and even at other churches, and it's like there's always the things like, oh, when you're trying to reconvene, oh, that's so hard to get their attention again, to get them all, kind of all focused. And I love how we like the music selection that we have. It's so we have like such like a high energy pop, I don't know,
pop dance,
dance music that's like super very kid friendly and super like fun and upbeat. But it's like our kids just are dancing and they're loving life. Like they are excited to get back into church to then like show you your dance moves.
I mean,
so awesome. And that was a choice that we made.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, we are very lucky that things like Wreck-It Ralph came out some years ago. That like just
we can borrow.
Pulled a couple songs from there to put in some other songs that we know are popular for kids right now. So they weren't all themed to build itself to our gaming idea, but we tried to keep our music upbeat, engaging. We want them to come in and get all their wiggles out as much as possible. We do this big old countdown.
We encourage them to yell the last 10 seconds or last 5 seconds.
It's on our screen. It's a big countdown.
Because literally it's just go ahead and get tired.
Yes. And sitting for a little bit. So yes, I mean, and that's just trial and error. Bless the volunteers that were in the sound booth all week long. They would be coming in. One of my volunteers is a mom, so she would come in and like comment on songs that her daughters really like. So maybe we'd add some of those.
Nice.
It was
ironically,
great.
none of us have kids.
Yes, none of us in this room have kids.
All of our
true.
whatever we facts we may have, it's all from secondary, third person.
I hadn't thought about that.
That
yes, we are
funny,
a childless room,
right?
But
we
very
childlike,
and
we all
wonder.
That's adult
right.
children,
childlike hearts.
I mean, hey, I got a car, so that like I'm doing something right.
I got a Hot Wheel.
I got a Hot Wheel.
That's right. But yeah, it is. So the music choices we were making to try to wear the kids out every day was an ever-changing thing as the week went on. We'd add things in or we'd take things out.
Gotta keep it fresh,
gotta
too.
keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Gotta
I
keep
love
it fresh.
dancing with them while we waited for the countdown. It's just so fun as we dance.
Yeah.
It also just totally empowers our volunteers to feel like it's also their show. It's not you're not kowtowing to like me or Lorena or even Haylie or whatever it is, or even you with the music, Sean.
Yeah.
It's if somebody had, at the same time, it's like, well, if you have the idea too late, it's like, I'm sorry. But that's almost the only stipulation.
Yeah.
Like there's a deadline for ideas.
Yeah, for actually doing stuff. But I feel like, at other places, sometimes it's hard because sometimes Vacation Bible School, it's like, we want to okay, kids, quiet, and so it's tough, because you don't want to kill that energy, but you also, we got to pay attention now. Yeah. And I feel like what I've seen, and I've done, I think, 3 Vacation Bible Schools now with a neighborhood church, or at least seen them, or observed them. And I love how...
Oh, no, you've done 3, yeah.
Yeah, which is hard to believe. Yeah. Because it still feels so fresh, but I like how we think ahead and we plan ahead, and like you said, Haylie, there's always the snafus or the things that you got to think about on the fly. But it seems like Lorena, the kids really love you and have a sense of respect for you, but also you've anticipated, and I think the whole system anticipates those wiggles, that you're talking about, Bob. Okay, when are we going to have to address that to focus them in, to tire them out, so they can sit for another 15 minutes and then get picked up by their parents.
Right, versus just getting irritated that kids have wiggles.
Yeah. I'm like, quiet, kids, quiet. We don't want to be. Obviously, sometimes, it was funny. There was one time where some kids were talking, and I'm like, I just went and sat down by them, just to sit down, just to be that presence.
Well, but sure, there's
that's few and far between.
Still want them to okay, shh.
Yeah.
Let the person
do
up
still
to
want
talk.
them to learn to listen.
Right, just be
when it's time
not
to
obedient.
listen.
What's the
respectful? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, you got to plan for, because their attention span is, or used to be, I don't know if it's changed with all of the screen time every person has now. Yes. But it used to be 1 minute per age. So per year. So if you're a 4-year-old, you're going to pay attention for 4 minutes. So what are you going to do in 4 minutes to re-engage that kid?
Yeah.
Wow. So sometimes the way we do things is we do a song, and then we do a quiet piece and then a song sometimes. But we also I tend to do videos, either an introductory video or a mission video or something that after they've danced, they can sit down and quietly and watch something, and then we do a song, and we try different things to keep them, to re-engage their attention.
Speaking of the missions video, what inspired that? So for those of you listening who don't know, every year for Bible Day Camp, we invite the kids to sponsor a mission, not a specific missionary, but a mission group that has a specific country. Where did that come from? Because that is so cool.
For Cuba, it was inspired by Susan Peterson. Her and her husband Lance are the missions. I don't know the official title, but they work with the missionaries that are sent from our church, that our church supports. So they are in constant communication with them. And so they are well versed in who they are and what they're doing. And so I just asked her for an idea of who we could support. And so she brought up Cuba.
Cuba,
yeah. Cuba
That's
kids.
I like how you said that.
And,
Cuba.
And so then I was introduced to Bruce Camp and what he was doing. So that is what we went for.
And that empowers the kids too, because they have a sense of ownership. One, to just, learning stewardship and giving and generosity, which is something that I had never seen before in a Bible Day Camp growing up. It's always I'm going to go somewhere and get entertained and be zany and then go home. And that's great. That's fine. That's totally cool. But to give kids an added layer, and then once they hit their goal, we set a goal, whatever it might be, then they get to slime some people if they hit the goal, which is, again, crazy and fun and awesome.
And I don't remember where that started, but I do know that the sliming predates Lorena. And I think it was always tied to some sort of donation thing. I just don't know for sure if it was always tied to a mission opportunity. It might, to be fair, just about anything out that a church is donating to is to some extent missional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if it was like going to a Goodwill, it's like
That's
still
like,
missional in a sense. But yeah, the slime thing is it's so the
kids talk about it like during the year.
goodness.
Like,
Yeah.
you got slime. Weren't you the
forward
one
to
that got
that.
slime?
aren't you the yeah.
We've also done a dunk tank. We did that maybe twice, I think, where somebody got dunked
Yeah, the with the baseball
instead of
kind
the
of place thing.
instead of the slime.
Instead of the gooey, gelatinous goo.
Right, because the kids
Colored
love it,
green.
but we hate cleaning it up.
Yeah. We
I
definitely.
just washed
Thanks
that
again,
this morning.
volunteers.
That was what I did at 7:40 this morning when I
Right,
got here.
wash the
wash
vanilla
tarp.
green vanilla pudding off the tarp.
Dude, so Lorena, when you got your job, it's like going through the list of
there's
job
so many
responsibilities.
things that were not
Sliming.
listed.
Sliming.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, like what? That's
I
a bait and
thought
switch.
So
didn't know
many
I
things
worked
that
at
were not
Nickelodeon.
listed there. And that first year, I got slimed. I got slimed really,
Of course,
really
of
well.
course.
I mean, they massaged it into my hair.
Oh gosh! This
was
is all fun
really
and games.
fun.
It's like Selsun Blue.
And
feel
the
the tingle.
crowd went
Selsun Green.
wild.
Yeah.
It's just like, what did I sign up for? I'm not sure.
Well, just to get to some stats, some statistics for you listeners who are stat and math nerds like me. Although I'm terrible with math, I got to be honest. But we had about 90 volunteers, about 50 teens, about 40 adults. See, my math is bad.
Yep, bad.
50,
But
40.
kids, how many kids did we have?
We
total?
had 145,
Dude.
I believe.
That's
was big.
phenomenal because definitely as again, those of you listening, you probably can assume during COVID, Vacation Bible School nationwide tanked, right? I mean, and as far as attendance. And so I feel like we have kind of been on an upward trajectory for the past few years, but, maybe 7-8 years ago, I'm sure it was like, we had a ton of kids who were coming in, but, that's really good for kind of, like I feel like it was definitely bigger than last year, which was bigger than the year before.
Yeah, it's been growing bit by bit. But I remember the 2021, we did our online with episodes edition, and I remember Bob did a lot of work on that one.
Yeah, that was a canned one. I'm not about to.
That was a
Sure.
what I'm
Also
referring
because I don't
to.
want to.
What I'm referring to in his work there was that he edited, like we filmed
Yeah.
myself teaching. He did all the filming, and then he did all the editing and put the videos together. And you and Kristen Santos worked on
Right,
that.
that
But we
was-
did use a canned
That was
curriculum.
an interesting week. I'm not gonna lie, because it's like I
But-
show up with episodes and we watch them together, and then I take home notes and I redo the edit. And I was like,
Yes.
gosh, this is literally like working for a small production company.
Yeah, TV
Yeah.
production. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
But we did have 75 kids sign up to like collect a kit that year. And, I do have great memories, even though it was 2020. Like I did 2 Zoom calls, and I had about 5 kids that went into the Zoom call in the evenings.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was like kind of like the
Chatted.
small group time.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I had questions or what, but we talked about what they had been watching and learning. And so
Yeah.
it was different, but it was good. And it was good to know that the kids were doing stuff at home and with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember my niece doing it at home.
My niece did it at home too.
So for this week, 145 kids, awesome. And then we had a ton of kids make decisions for Christ. Is that right? Yeah.
29.
29. That's amazing.
First time.
That's first time.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of visiting families and a lot of visiting kids, so that's just phenomenal. And then 13, I think, who had
Who said they wanted to recommit or, that's the term we give them, but they know they need to do better or they want to do better.
Yeah.
They want to draw closer is, what they're saying, like, oh, I've done all of these things and I know I shouldn't and I need to
Play too
grow
many video
closer to
games.
God is what they're saying. Like, oh, somebody wrote, I've said a lot of bad words. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to do the right thing. So
That's
I'm
awesome. Yeah.
going to commit.
Yeah, just that
myself.
conviction's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
conviction.
We
That.
all of us have struggled with any of the sin.
Yeah.
Whatever.
In general. Yeah.
In general. So like it's always encouraging when a kid's like, I want to do better. And it's like, cool. Like, just so you know, we are all trying to
Yes,
like none of us are gonna get it right.
Yeah.
Just keep trying.
And that's so good.
And what does Israel mean? Wrestling with God?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody actually just kind of like what Bob is saying. One of the kids said, I love to play, Roblox or whatever game. I can't get off. I can't get off the phone. And I know I want to.
Wow.
Like, I want to have to like read the Bible or, but
yeah.
I was like, well, remember, follow Jesus, the God's Spirit is in you. And so just ask God to help you do it and tell him you're struggling with that.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. That's called surrender. And he will. And that's what we all do with different things. And so to hear them saying that at 9 or 10 is really encouraging.
It's interesting to see how, I've been thinking a lot this week, how we're all children of God, and when we work with children or interact or write for children, it's like, sometimes we can, we got to simplify, we got to make it, very accessible, but it's like, yeah, we still wrestle with these same things, maybe on a different scale and with different impact, but
Maturity
it's very,
is with,
yeah, there is that commonality or like, yeah, we're all in need of a savior. We're all sensing when we're not meeting the mark, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
however that sensing happens, we all, that's why we do it as adults. We started as children.
Yeah. We're building on the blocks, if you will. So I have to ask, as we get kind of towards the end of our podcast, and thank you all for listening. Some of the fun resources that we talked about we'll put on in the show notes, but this is just kind of a fun recap episode for us just to celebrate. And again, like we've said, to celebrate you guys who volunteered. I have to shout out to the band. You guys were phenomenal. And just the music that you learned. And we really, we had a great sound. I was so impressed with how we took, Mackenzie
and the hard drives.
Mackenzie and the hard drives, the dancers.
Our dance team, showing all the kids their dance hand motions.
They were great.
So cool.
Amazing.
And we took, so the theme was Build Your Life on the Rock. So a long while back, Lorena, just came to me and she's like, hey, here's the theme. And I'm thinking, okay, there's an old hymn that we can do that kind of fits. And it's like, who wants to do a hymn, for Vacation Bible School, like something stodgy and we're going to break out the organ. And there's nothing wrong with old hymns. I love old hymns.
No,
I
but
grew
for
up.
kids, it might not be work.
Yeah, for high energy, it's like, all right, kids, we're going to do a 6-minute organ piece here. And I'm like, wow.
5 verses. And there's no chorus.
Yeah. But
Lots of words.
That was so fun how we made it so interactive. And then Haylie, you guys performed it Sunday for church for everybody, and that sounded great. Dude.
Yeah, the kids loved it still.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was a fun memory for you guys from this week? Something maybe super funny that happened, super silly, supercilious, all the S words.
Yeah.
Superfluous.
I think I have the one on Monday. This one cute little girl. She's probably like 4, and she just came up to me and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm having so much fun."
Yeah.
And she had just had recreation, and she told me everything she did in recreation. They were playing with a parachute, and we blew it up, and we threw it up, and then we ran under it, and then there was 2 of us under it. It was just so funny. But she was just so into it. So her face just glowed. I was just like, this is the best thing ever.
So good. That's awesome. I love too how kids. Yeah, it's just the simplest. The things like, oh, of course, but it's so fun and everything that happened. It's so good.
I think for me, just seeing some of our high school volunteers that we had on the tech and worship team really step into their own. I feel like we had one of our acoustic guitarists is a high schooler, one of our singers is a high schooler, 2 of our actors in our main stage skit were high schoolers, and I had a high schooler in the sound booth as well, and just seeing them really take ownership. So since my job was less interacting with the kids in person, my job was more behind the scenes. So less kid interaction, more volunteer interaction on my part. It was a delight to work with them and really see the joy that these students were having getting to serve the kids. And some of them, I know when they were kids, were coming to Bible Day Camp here. And so they know what Bible Day Camp meant to them when they were young. And you could really see that it mattered to them, the serving. That wasn't just, I got asked, I'll be here. Yeah, sure. No, that they knew that what they were doing, what they were contributing to mattered, and they took a lot of good pride in the work and what they were getting to do, how they were getting to serve, and that was just beautiful to see.
Yeah.
So if any of you are listening, thank you. You guys are amazing.
And plug for next year.
Yeah, you are.
If you guys want to come back and help, or even help during, hey,
That's
we
right.
do church every Sunday. We need a production team. So yeah,
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday,
Yeah.
Sundays always come.
Yeah, there's always a Sunday that
Always a Sunday.
church is happening. I mean, part of me wants to sort of second what Haylie was saying, because to be honest, like when I like to make sure that other people don't feel overwhelmed, and so like I was a little worried that Haylie might, just the way things can go, and then all these people. I mean, I knew Amanda and Rachel were going to be there. We'd already knew that they were going to be there, but then it's beyond that. It's like, okay, well, everything else we can do, and it'll be fine. But it was so relaxing because of how into it they were. Present, intuitive, like you've said.
Yeah, ready to help, not just like kind of chilling, like, oh, I'm just going to look be on my phone,
Right. It
until
wasn't
someone calls
obligatory
me.
or forced. It was, hi,
Right,
can I
and-
be your friend and do this with you?
And this is
That's
their
literally what it
summer
felt like.
break. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame them
They
for
were
like
here
feeling
one
like they
time
were.
where they were in their parking lot before I even got here.
Yes, some of them were beating me to church, guys.
6
I
a.m.
was like, what
Yeah.
on earth? And yes, that like this is their summer vacation. This is their break from school. Like I would not blame them if they felt like they had only a little to give. Like this is their time of year to
Or if it's like, I'll do
recuperate
Monday
from
and
the school
Friday,
year.
but that's it.
Yeah.
Something like
No,
that. Like they put
every day.
contingencies on it. No, they were
That is
here.
what is awesome about our volunteers is they were all full in, all committed, all here.
I almost
And
said
I want to give a special shout out to small group leaders.
Oh, small group.
Yes.
Small group
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
leaders
yeah.
Champions.
because they are with the children.
Yes.
For 3.5 hours because we open up at 8:45
Right,
and they
and
leave
there's
like at
always-
12:15.
Yeah, there's always
it's a
somebody
So they are
there
going
till
through the
15.
rotations. They have a group of like
They
10
gotta,
kids.
keep 'em
that they have to-
counted
but
and
they are with
lost.
them, making sure that they are alive and well and
Things we take for granted.
present.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, and they don't get a break. Sometimes station leaders get a break of a rotation that doesn't come in. Everybody else kind of gets a breather, but the leaders the small group leaders are consistently with the kids for that whole day.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a special shout out to them and say thank you because they were so present and ready to greet each kid each morning and make them feel so special and welcome. So
That's so cool.
Okay,
thank
so
you, guys.
now I am going to answer the question though. My true gem of the moment of the week was second day's skit because it had all the bits that I liked in it.
All the drama. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
because
writer.
it had the scare. It
Yeah.
opened with a
Oh, that
scare.
was
Oh yeah.
And then the pizza where the
yeah.
vice
yes.
president eats the pizza. All the kids were so like that is just the meanest thing ever.
For those of you who didn't see it, there's a character who's like the bad guy who eats the the hero's pizza.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
The
hero had
and he does
ordered
it,
a
and she does
pizza
it
and
right
she
in
ate
front
it.
of him, and like just milks
Gloating
all
over it,
for
yeah.
And he's just John, John's like, no,
Don't you dare.
that's my pizza. But all the
Okay.
kids were just like,
Yeah, like
And
they really
also-
owned that offense.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, basically any kind of high reaction to the skit is
Yeah.
something I walked
Yeah.
away with going, that was great.
totally. Yeah.
Like when Kayla reveals that her character is the niece of the vice president.
Oh, there was a big
yes,
gas.
the villain.
Yeah, it was like a prolonged gasp. Like,
yeah, before
people talking
yeah.
like, did you think that was gonna? Did you know that was? Do you believe that she's really the vice president?
Yeah,
It was so funny.
Dude, yeah, that was so good.
So-
It's and the costumes and just I mean, we could go on and on about just
costumes
thanking
are so
people, but I think for me that it was just the kids when they would come back in before the closing session, and they kind of like what you were saying, Lorena. They just wanted me to see them dance, you know, and they're like, look, and then they do something kind of goofy. Actually, most of the kids were really good dancers. I was like, dang. Like,
One of them was breakdancing.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I fully admit, you know, I was like, I'm
John gave a sermon on Sunday talking about don't invite me to your wedding because I can't dance.
That's true, yeah. It's a sermon about dancing and how bad I am. But it was funny because the kids were like really good. I'm like, dang. And then, you know, but it was just like the world for them to be like, this is who I am, you know.
There was
I'm
one
being
day.
noticed.
Yeah,
There was
like
one
you're
day
seeing-
where this one kid was like, "Come on, Miss Lorena, break dance, and you gotta do it." And so I tried. And he didn't ask me again.
He just walked away quietly.
See, this is the nice thing about operating the sound booth. Is okay.
Lorena's,
No one's gonna
Lorena's
No one
worm.
ran up and asked me to dance.
Lorena's worm is more like a bent straw.
I was like, the kids were doing the worm and literally
Yeah,
like
they were.
spinning on their shoulder. And I'm like, dude, you're like 6. How are you doing this? How
Right?
do you
Because
know
they
about
weigh
this?
This is how
30
I know I'm getting
pounds.
old.
That's true. Yeah. Your gravity isn't that much. I get that.
When you're an adult, it's like, okay, I'm throwing around 200 pounds.
Yeah, I get on the ground and I just don't move.
Right,
Like I
right.
might say I'm going to break
Laying
dance.
down is for laying down.
I did a one spin and I said, "I'm out."
Well, on that note, you guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast here, our Revive podcast. Man, it's so good. I just have to say, congratulations, team, for making it work this year. Applause. And thank you again for our volunteers and even for you families, for the folks that brought your kids and dropped your kids off. Thank you guys for just bringing your children, being willing to encourage and participate and talk to your kids afterwards. Thank you guys. And now you guys are doing Vacation Bible School for life for 18 years, right? You got to keep your kids occupied. So thank you guys for all your participation. We here at the Revive Podcast, it's just such an honor to do this. You can find us on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast there, where we typically will talk about the sermon series. YouTube, you can look up Neighborhood Church of Cypress or Neighborhood Church of Los Alamitos. Also on Instagram and Facebook, you can find out more information there. And we would love to hear from you guys. If you want to share your favorite moment from Bible Day Camp or whatever it might be, you can email us at connect@neighborhoodchurch.com. That's CONNECT @neighborhoodchurch.com. Until next time, we pray that God would revive your soul.